Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. Baby Grace, an inquest into the death of the 7-week-old hears a coroner condemn the designers of a cot. The commuters brought to breaking point by another day of rail strikes, and we join one Sussex teenager on his daily struggle to get to school.
Yeah, it's just very stressful at the moment. It's very tiring.
Going head-to-head, why the best of stablemates could find themselves rivals on Boxing Day.
And I'm in another winter wonderland as we continue our search for the region's most festive road, and this one may even have a clue to the weekend weather forecast. Does it look like reindeer?
Good evening. A coroner who's been hearing how a 7-week-old baby girl died in a cot next to her mother's bed has condemned the design of the cot.
Grace Roseman died at her home in Haywards Heath last year. She was found with her head over the side of the cot and died from asphyxia. Malcolm Shaw's report from Horsham Coroner's Court contains flashing images.
A life cut tragically short. Grace Roseman was just 7 weeks old when she died of asphyxia. The baby had been lying in a bed nest cot like this, fixed to the side of her parents' bed at the family home in Haywards Heath. But Grace became caught with her head over the half-folded down side, cutting off the blood supply to her brain. Her mother Esther came back from having a bath to find Grace's lifeless body in the crib. Today, a coroner found her death was accidental, but raised serious concerns about the safety of the product.
One point I want to make is what you heard from the coroner's findings is that there are still thousands of the cots out there which could be used in exactly the same way as Esther and I had used the cot. And also, having heard it's now in the open what Bednest, their sort of theory of what happened was to blame our other daughter, personally, I don't think anybody should be buying any products from a company as despicable as Bednest.
They just don't care. It's as simple as that. They do not care.
The company which makes the bed nest told the inquest it was designed to make it safer for parents to have their baby sleep alongside them and had passed safety tests, but it had now been modified to prevent it being left with the side in the half-raised position, and they tried to contact customers who'd bought the crib. The coroner expressed concern that fewer than half of the customers have been traced so far, leaving more than 3,000 cribs floating around somewhere, unmodified and possibly being sold second-hand, and she accused the company of showing a lack of compassion over Grace's death. The Rosemans were given their bed nest by a relative without the instructions, which had been thrown away. But a test carried out for trading standards concluded that the product itself cannot be regarded as safe, a finding that's tragically come too late to save little Grace Roseman. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Horsham.
And we contacted Bednest for reaction, but they have not been able to provide a comment.
In other news, more than 1,500 check-in staff, baggage handlers and cargo crew at 18 airports have called a strike for 48 hours just before Christmas in a long-running pay dispute. The airports include Heathrow, Gatwick, Bournemouth and Southampton. A spokesperson for the Unite Union says the action's being taken as a last resort and is calling for what it calls constructive talks at ACAS to try to reach a settlement.
A 15-year-old girl who stabbed her school friend in the chest has been detained for 10 years. The girl, who is too young to be named, lured her friend to a quiet corner of the grounds of their school in Hampshire. She then lunged at her with this knife. She was convicted of attempted murder last month. The court had previously been told she was obsessed with serial killers and school shootings.
28-year-old man's been arrested after a woman was sexually assaulted in Bournemouth. The woman in her 20s was pushed to the ground and attacked on Boundary Road in Ensbury Park last month. There were 2 other incidents in Woods at Slade's Farm.
For the third day this week, there were no southern trains today after conciliation talks between rail bosses and the unions ended without agreement.
Well, last night, passengers staged a protest at London's Victoria Station and handed in a letter to the Department for Transport demanding government action to end the crisis, as Andy Dickinson reports.
Chris Grayling out is the cry. The Transport Secretary, increasingly the focus for commuters, brought to breaking point by another day of strikes. But it's not just workers affected by the ongoing industrial action. Matthew Collett-Leslie has autism and is struggling to get to school in Heathfield.
It's very stressful at the moment. It's very tiring.
Even leaving at 6 a.m, he still gets there an hour late.
I normally have to get a train to Eastbourne, but at the moment I have to get a bus to Eastbourne and then another bus to Heathfield, so that takes me 4 hours where it normally takes me 2. I'm sitting my mock GCSE, so I'm going to be late to them, so I'm not going to get the grades I need, and it's practising for my end of the year exams, and it could mess it all up.
This protest last night exceeded expectations, whereas the breakdown in talks between Southern Rail and Drivers' Union ASLEF surprised no one.
This isn't about the unions, this is about the government failing to get Southern to adhere to the contract. The unions aren't helping, I'm not going to deny that, but actually what we need is the government to stand up, put Southern in special measures, take away the contract and give us our trains back.
Horsham Station was like so many this morning, empty but for parked trains. Southern Rail's owners go via Thameslink, saying they're disappointed that a practical offer was not accepted by the unions.
Well, we're incredibly sorry. You know, we do not want to be alienating the customers and the passengers. I spend most of my time promoting this railway. I want a well-invested, greener railway. I want a safer operation. And I make it quite clear, this isn't about leverage, this isn't about money. This is purely about what we say it's about safety.
Chris Grayling! Shame on you!
Mr Grayling himself says he will not talk to the unions until they call off strike action. But with another walkout by the RMT planned for Monday, longer journeys for commuters and school children alike almost certainly lie ahead. Andy Dickinson, ITV News.
More news. A man's been jailed for 3 years for robbing a woman in her 90s in Poole. 25-year-old Arthur Wassill grabbed the woman and stole her gold necklace on Levitts Lane in June.
Councillors have agreed to go ahead with controversial plans to build thousands more houses in the Hampshire countryside. Scores of protesters packed a public meeting last night to voice their concerns. 6,000 new homes could be built on greenbelt land north of Bishopstoke and Fair Oak. Plans include a bypass running between the two communities from Fair Oak to Albrook and linking to the M3.
Shipwreck diving is a popular pastime here on the south coast, but the boats have become targets for thieves.
Yes, taking items from them and not declaring them is against the law. Often it's precious metal which is stolen from the wrecks and then sold on. But a group of people are determined to bring the offenders to justice. Here's Nashri Nissa.
Finders are not always keepers. Last year, a man was jailed for taking a haul of historic cannons from HMS London, a sunken 17th century warship. These historic artefacts were discovered by police in 2014. 2 divers were fined over £60,000 for plundering shipwrecks off the south coast. Police, historians, divers and maritime experts came together in a bid to prevent similar crimes.
There are those people that are diving and removing objects to sell on. It might be metal that they're selling on and scrap metal and making a profit from that. But there are other groups that are diving for the sort of the cultural value of the objects. They're either keeping them themselves or they're selling them on through auction houses or electronic auction sites. And it's gone forever.
Around the back of the Isle of Wight, there's some stunning material around the back of the Isle of Wight. Lots of protected wrecks, deep wrecks, wrecks which are still almost upright, wrecks that look almost exactly as they did when they went down. What is much more depressing is to go down on a wreck where everything has been taken. It does reflect on us as a group, and actually quite unfairly. 75% of divers don't want to take stuff off wrecks.
These are images of a wreck off the Dorset coast. Iarfon, which swept mines laid by German U-boats during World War I, is exceptionally well preserved. It's considered to be vulnerable.
The act of actually taking something from a shipwreck is not necessarily illegal, as long as it's not a protected wreck. All you have to do is have an appropriate licence in place if you need one and report what you've recovered to the receiver of wreck, and we will then take it from there.
The Maritime Coast Guard agencies say these crimes affect everybody, robbing us of our shared heritage. Nasha Nissa, ITV News.
Indeed, you are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thanks for choosing us.
Coming up, Simon with some lights fantastic.
And we're in Berlin to see whether the currency markets are affecting British tourists visiting the Christmas markets.
As always, for more on all of our stories, head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, why not give us a call? 0808 10 10 095, the number to ring, or get in touch via Facebook. Or if you prefer, why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Cub Scouts from across the south have been renewing their promise today.
I promise that I will do my best.
It's exactly 100 years since the organisation was founded. This group held an event to mark the occasion at the top of the Spinnaker Tower in Portsmouth.
In Hampshire alone, we have thousands of young people on the waiting list to join a cub group, a scout group, and they're unable to because we don't have enough adult volunteers. We really need to get the adult volunteers on board.
Smashing. Now, a trip to a European Christmas market has become something of a festive tradition for many people here in the south, but this year the cost might have come as a bit of a shock.
That's right, you will have found the pound in your pocket is not worth quite as much as you'd hoped. Its exchange value has never really recovered following the Brexit vote.
But here's a bit of a tip. Don't leave it till you get to the airport before you buy your euros. You'll get a much better deal in the high street.
Well, our reporter Matt Price has been to Berlin, always a popular Christmas destination, to see whether tourists are having to trim their budgets.
Darren and Abby put a European mini break at the top of their Christmas wish list. But along with new sights and sounds, there's one big difference: how the pound devalues on that short flight to Berlin.
Yeah, definitely. We haven't really splashed out. I don't know whether that's anything to do with it, but
we've just been spending our money on food and drink, to be honest, and it has been a little bit, oh, maybe you wouldn't pay that at home, mate, like maybe.
With so much to eat and drink here, they treated themselves to a meal out last night at €61. A bitter pill to swallow then when we told them how much it would have cost this time last year. That was about £51, £52 or something.
Yes, yeah.
Last year that would have cost you about £44.
Yeah,
so what's your reaction to that?
Well, it's a bit disappointing, really, isn't it?
Yeah. That's like an extra drink somewhere, like
it's a pint, isn't it? Yeah, it's a pint,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
But losing money is nothing to toast, and Darren and Abby are not alone. This is an issue affecting British tourists right across Europe. Last December, holidaymakers enjoyed a better exchange rate, getting €1.37 for every pound. It took a dip in the summer, perhaps due to the EU referendum vote, and has never really recovered. Today we're getting around €1.19 for every pound that we spend. So what does that mean in the real world? Well, this ornament, today costing €170, works out at around £142. Go back 12 months and it would have cost £124. What a difference a year makes. Melissa has been selling Glühwein at Gendarmenmarkt for over a decade. And it's busy, one of over 60 Christmas markets in Berlin this year. And while Brits are still visiting and soaking up the festive spirit, quite literally, they're being more selective about what they spend their money on, she says.
I think maybe if they go shopping, like Christmas shopping, in terms of buy stuff, but when it comes to drinks, I think they still love to spend it because it's a treat for themselves. I can't tell the difference, to be honest. So they here, they love it, they spend the money, they come back as well.
And tourist figures would support that theory. In 2015, Britons enjoyed over 1.5 million overnight stops in Berlin.
British people come a little bit more to celebrate. Sometimes I hear them singing in our bar. On Saturday we had 36,000 people on the market, mostly not from Germany. A lot of Britons, I guess.
It's fair to say there is no shortage of British tourists here in Berlin. The German markets are something of a tradition, always vibrant, and the crowds in high spirits. In fact, the only thing that does change is the value of our pound. But that means for some, Christmas shopping abroad this year might have to be a little less extravagant. Matt Price, ITV News in Berlin.
Well, a little later we should be looking at another side of Christmas, those not quite so fortunate who'll be depending on food banks for their festive fare.
Now though, the sport with Chris Maughan, and it's derby time, Chris.
Sangeeta, it certainly is. Yes, lunchtime on Sunday, the venue, Bournemouth's Vitality Stadium. And two managers, Eddie Howe for Bournemouth and Southampton's Claude Puel, will be hoping to deliver the pre-Christmas bragging rights to their supporters in the Premier League South Coast derby. For years, these clubs were divisions apart, but not any longer. They go into Sunday's meeting with Saints just 2 goals better off in the table. The Cherries have been strong at home. Southampton have struggled to score, but don't concede many either.
They have tweaked their team, but I don't think they've changed their style too much from game to game. I think they've got a good squad. They've got healthy options themselves.
They have a good player, good technical player. Every profile of this player is a technical player.
They've done well this year with the workload they've had, with the amount of games they've had, with the European stuff, and done well in the cup competitions. It's been a high workload on their teams. I think the only option they do have is to rotate, so I think that's been good management.
Two clubs, two teams try to play football, and this it's interesting for me.
Obviously, when you play Southampton and you're at Bournemouth, you know it's a big game for the supporters.
Well, that's on Sunday. Tomorrow, Brighton and Reading continue their challenge for promotion to the Premier League. Brighton, who are second in the table, open up an 8-point lead over Reading with victory at Blackburn in midweek. While the Royals are at Ewood Park tomorrow. Brighton head to 8th placed Birmingham, who surprised everyone by sacking manager Gary Rowett this week and replacing him with Gianfranco Zola.
They've not waited long, have they? They've appointed very quickly, and by all accounts, a good manager. He was at West Ham before I went there, and the boys spoke very highly of him there, so I'm sure he'll do a great job for them. Just hope he gets off to a slow start.
Elsewhere in League One, Oxford look to extend their unbeaten league run at Bury. Swindon are at home, while in League Two, alternatives to the Christmas shopping in Crawley and Portsmouth include the visits of Newport and Hartlepool, respectively. Now there's jump racing at Ascot tomorrow. The long walk hurdle is the main feature. A year ago, this race was won by Thistlecrack, trained in West Dorset by Colin Tizard. Earlier this week, I spent a morning at the Tizard stables where they're preparing Q Card for the big Boxing Day chase at Kempton.
Selco Builders Warehouse, proud sponsors of ITV Meridian Sports Report.
They won't break the daily routine, even for Christmas. Just after daybreak, the first of the 85 horses trained by Colin Tizard are heading for the gallops. And there's no shortage of quality. When Native River won the Hennessy Gold Cup at Newbury last month, the trainer said he felt as though he had all the toys. And this is the apple of his eye, Q Card. Favourite to repeat his King George VI victory of a year ago at Kempton on Boxing Day.
First number 3, Q Card.
Bang on his game. I couldn't wish for him to be any better.
The nice problem with having all the toys is knowing where to play with them. The racing media want to know if Tizard will pitch Thistlecrack on the near side here and unbeaten in his last 8 races against Q Card on Boxing Day, or if that inter-stable clash will wait until the Cheltenham Gold Cup in March.
People like myself dream of having these type of horses, and you've got to enjoy it as well, because this won't happen forever. You know, we won't get these really high-class horses. Even money won't buy them, I don't think. They just have, for some reason, we've got half a dozen of the best chasers in the country at the moment.
The Tizards still run their dairy farm, but these horses have catapulted them up alongside jump racing's elite. They could have 4 leading contenders for the Gold Cup in March. More immediately, it's Christmas, which will mean more work and early starts. What does Christmas mean around the Tizard Yard?
It means it's busy. Everybody on Christmas Day, everybody works the morning. So they all come in, we all get stuck in and get done by sort of 10 o'clock, 10:30.
I'm one of the lucky jockeys that can have a bit of Christmas dinner and stuff, and I'll enjoy it as best I can. We get a couple of days before Christmas Day off, and then obviously Boxing Day is when I hope to open my present.
Our Christmas will be all what happens on Boxing Day, and that next week there's a lot of racing on. It's all right for the kids, Christmas.
Lovely pictures there from Dorset by our cameraman Mick Hopley. That's our sport this evening.
Tip for Boxing Day, Chris?
What, with Q Card running
yes.
against Coneygree, of course, from the Oxfordshire stables of Mark Bradstock. But I'd have to say I'd love to see Q Card win.
Absolutely.
Lovely.
Thank you very
Stunning
much indeed.
pictures. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Now, it's that time of year when community food banks are in full swing to help those unable to feed their families over the festive season.
Indeed, agencies like this one in Abingdon say handing out food and Christmas treats is a vital service for those unable to provide for themselves at this time of the year.
Well, it could be that people have lost their job and maybe between jobs. It could be that people have had illness in the family, so maybe a mother is ill, a father takes time off to look after the family, or a husband is unable to work through injury. And the family will probably have managed and struggled for quite a long time before they reach us, by which time they will have run out of everything they've got.
So what difference do food banks make to families at Christmas? Ken Goodwin has been finding out.
Christmas can be a miserable time if you don't have much money. Darren Kilby and his children hit hard times and had last Christmas boosted by a food and toy hamper.
We was trying to provide for the children and everything. Everything got messed up with my personal circumstances, and it just came in handy for them to be there and to support us, you know, at the end of the year.
But at this shopping centre, a charity called Hamper Scamper is helping those who are down on their luck.
Well, the unit behind me, that's a British Home Stores, and of course it's been closed, but now it's being put to a new use. Come on.
And there's plenty of room.
Thousands of feet of floor space now being given a new lease of life in the run-up to Christmas.
Each hamper is being filled with about £70 worth of food. Last year they gave out 922 hampers. This year demand is up. They need enough food for at least 1,200.
We've got baked beans, tins of spaghetti, soups, pasta sauces, mince pies, Yule logs, Christmas pudding, meals in a tin, table sauces, carrots, tin fish, sweet corn peas, sugar.
Hamper Scamper is staffed entirely by volunteers and sponsors. They give up their time to sort out and pack donated food.
I interviewed a chap who has a family, and he said he just wanted all the volunteers to know how it changed his Christmas and how grateful he was.
Makes me well up that, just knowing that. It's just nice to do something for other people that haven't got anything. And we take these kind of things for granted, so for knowing that that is helping people that, you know, don't necessarily or aren't able to have it is a really good feeling. So.
It's really inspirational and actually quite humbling. The company that we work for, Ecclesiastical, they give us a day's volunteering every year, and so actually we've chosen to do this at Christmas because we really believe in what it's for.
The whole thing's organised by a community charity.
And this makes a huge difference. The letters of thanks I get and the cards I get in the new year saying what a difference it's made to their Christmas. Somebody that's kind of unable to provide what they would like for their family, walking around in the high street, seeing somebody carrying 6-7 carrier bags full of gifts for their family, that has a massive impact on people, huge impact. If we're able to support these people at Christmas by gifting out food parcels and gifts for the family, it has a massive effect on the whole family.
Most of us will have a great Christmas, some won't, but the efforts of these volunteers will hopefully ensure that those in need will at least get a bit of extra festive cheer.
Just a great big thank you, and just keep up the good work what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Ken Goodwin, ITV News.
Lovely. And we shall have more on this next week as the Bishop of Oxford tours our region to see the good work being done for those in need. Now, as you know, we've been getting into the Christmas spirit by trying to find the most festive street in the south. Indeed. Well, Simon's out and about this evening on a road that is positively glowing. Where are you, Simon?
Well, I am on Byron Road, and how fantastic does this look? Look, there is a massive, great big long row of houses, and they are all covered in thousands and thousands of lights. Jason, this is a bit of a tradition now, isn't it? How many years have you been doing this?
Certainly is. It's our 12th year.
That's pretty good going, isn't it? And whose idea was it?
It was my dad's. We started 12 years ago. He started with about probably about 5-6 strands of lights, and now we've got about 40,000 bulbs.
That's a heck of a lot of lights, and I mean they are on every single house. How hard was it to persuade the neighbours to be involved?
They didn't really get a choice. He just took over the streets, but it's been a complete success, and we've raised so much money for charity.
Well, let's talk about how much money you've raised, because over the years it's a fairly big sum, isn't it?
Certainly, we've raised £45,000 to date for various charities this year, hoping to get up to the £55,000 mark.
And that's an amazing sum just for a bit of Christmas, isn't it?
Right.
And I mean, we can see from the people knocking around here today that there are loads of people that they're just going to keep on coming, I guess, until January the 1st.
It's January the 3rd, actually. We've gone global. We've just gone over the world with it. We've got Australia, Russia, Germany. It's just gone crazy.
And you get more than your fair share of showbiz people turning up, don't you?
We've had a couple of A-listers here. I can't mention them, but one from
Fred Sangeeta, no?
Not as A-lister as that.
Okay, right, fair enough. You know. Yeah, someone from Take That. Shh, don't say Howard. Anyway, look, we've obviously got all the lights up now, and they look great. Whose job is it to take them down, and how hard is that?
It's my dad's job to take that down. It takes him about 3 months to take them down, to put them up, sorry, and about 2 days to take them down.
Wow, just put them away and gone for another year. Well, Jason, thank you for letting us have a sneaky peek down your road. Amazing stuff. Let's have a look and see if it's going to be a festive forecast.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Now, we mentioned that there is a natural light phenomenon on the go at the minute, the supermoon. Tricky to see, though, because it's been so cloudy, but Roy in Basingstoke managed to get it in its full orange, and with the added bonus of a bit of chimney action as well. As for the next few days, well, cloud is going to be the main thing. Settled conditions, though. We got high pressure very much with us, very much in charge through Saturday, Sunday, Monday. In fact, it's not until the middle of next week that things start to change, but that high pressure keeps the weather fronts well and truly at bay to the west, so nothing bad is going to happen, but to be honest, nothing interesting is going to happen with the weather. It's just going to stay, well, all a bit dull and boring. And certainly overnight tonight we've got the cloud, and that at least keeps the temperatures from getting too cold. We will be frost free. There are a few clear spells to be had, and that's where we'll see some mist and murk developing, but the winds stay light and the temperatures shouldn't really drop below around 5 or 6 degrees. So for tomorrow morning it's going to be another cloudy and grey start to another cloudy and grey day. The mist will lift, yes, and at times through the day the cloud will break, particularly to the north of the region. That's where you might see a few bright spells, but think overcast, and you're probably about right, but dry. Temperatures down a touch on today, but still getting up into double figures. We'll probably hit around 10 degrees, and once again those winds stay light even along the coast. So a fairly decent day if you're out doing the Christmas shopping. As for your high tide times, well, you can see in Brighton 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:15 in the afternoon. Then it'll be a chilly night to take us into Sunday. Sunday a colder start, more chance of seeing some brightness, but staying dry and settled.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Thank you, Simon. Now, before we go, you may remember us telling you in September about an unusual tropical bird found washed up on a beach in Sussex. Well, the red-footed booby bird has been flown home for Christmas. What are you laughing at?
Yes, well said. The booby bird, nicknamed Norman, was 5,000 miles from home and is normally a resident of sunnier climes in the Caribbean. After being nursed back to health by the RSPCA and kept warm under a heat lamp, he's now being flown from Heathrow to a nature reserve on the Cayman Islands. Good luck, Norm. Wish I was going with you.
Yeah, I know you can't play. Now, in just a moment, we've got the ITV Evening News with Alistair Stewart and Charlene White.
For now, though, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much for watching. Have a happy weekend. See you next week.
See you soon. Bye-bye.